Now, as we continue, if you have your Bibles, and I know you all do, if you would go to Genesis 31st chapter, then go to the 44th verse, and when you have it, you stand to your feet for the reading of the Word. That's Genesis 31st chapter. We'll start reading at the 44th verse. We've been dealing with Jacob all month long. We've been dealing with Jacob and Jacob's travels. Here in the 44th verse says, "Now therefore, come now, let us make a covenant, I and thou, and let it be for a witness between me and thee." And Jacob took a stone and set it up for a pillar. And Jacob said to his brethren, "Gather stones." And they took stones and made an heap. And they did not eat there upon the heap. And Laban called it I'm going to try to pronounce it, Jagashadutha. But Jacob called it Gilead. And Laban said, "This heap is a witness between me and thee this day." Therefore was the name of it called Galilee and Mizpah. For he said, "The Lord watch between me and thee, when we absent one from another." You may be seated in the house of the Lord. I just want to talk about, it's just simple, Jacob's departure. Jacob's departure and God's victory. We've been following Jacob all month long. Sister Rhonda, when we met Jacob, he was stealing the blessings of his brother. He had stolen the blessings of his brother, and therefore he had to run and escape. The next time we saw Jacob, he was now in the desert, empty and barren. He was in the desert, lonely, cold, and didn't even have a pillow, put the stones for pillows. And it was there that he had a dream. And there he saw the angels going up to heaven and down to earth. And the ladder that reached from earth to heaven, out in the desert all alone. When we saw him again, he would come to his uncle's house. Not as a proud man, not as a man who was victorious. But he came empty, broken, depressed, and needing and looking for a wife. He is a man broken, looking for a future. And he had been sent to his uncle. There, his uncle, he sees his uncle's daughter, his cousin, Rachel. And man, she is beautiful. Fellas know what I'm talking about. You ever see the woman who you just look at and it's like, wow. I tell you, when I first saw my wife, I can tell you right now exactly what she had on and where she was standing. I saw her standing outside the elevator. She had on a gold shirt, had on some tweed pants, had a little belt buckle that had a little light in it, and was standing all by herself. And I looked and said, wow. You know when you see somebody and you're just looking and going, Rachel was the one who lit up his eyes. Rachel was the one he looked at and was like, wow. But as he looked at Rachel, he goes to work for Laban. He's working for Laban, and while he's working for Laban, he asks Laban for his daughter. Laban says, well, what should I? Laban comes to him and says, man, you're working, but you're working for free. It's not right. I need to pay you. See, you got to be careful when people come to you offering you stuff, because you don't know what their motive is. Laban says, let me pay you. The truth of the matter is, Laban knew he could not pay Jacob worth, but he wanted to make sure Jacob stayed. So Jacob says, I'll work for you. Give me your daughter. I want Rachel. Laban says, hey, I tell you what, you worked 7 years. She's all yours. Jacob works faithfully for 7 years. 7 years, he's ready for Rachel. He is ready. I've got what I worked for. You know how you are when you work all week expecting that check. You know, Monday you came in saying, well, I got to come to work. But then Friday, you're like, yeah, it's payday today. Well, that's the way Jacob was. It is payday. I got my woman. It is payday. Now Jacob parties. He goes in the tent because he knows he's got Rachel, but there's a problem when he wakes up in the morning. See, that's the problem when you have too much fun. You know, when you're out there, it looks like you have fun, but guess what? There's a morning coming. You're doing something. It looks like, man, I'm having fun right now. But what are you going to do in the morning? What are you going to do when fun ain't fun no more? He wakes up in the morning and looks and realizes in the bed with him is not Rachel, but it's old bad-eyed Leah. Rachel had a sister. And no doubt by the description, Leah does not have Rachel's body and looks, and that Leah appears to be tall and uncoordinated and just lanky, and Rachel has a bad eye. She has that eye that's sort of, your eye, you're looking one way but look the other way, and back in the day we would call it cockeyed and all that. The eye just didn't work. And so Laban, realizing that this seemed like a good time to get rid of Rachel, or get rid of Leah, I'm sorry. So he has snuck Leah into the tent. Here, Jacob is mad. Where is the woman I worked 7 years for? Laban says, hey man, it's not right to give the youngest away first. You ever had somebody want to justify their wrong? You know they're wrong, but they want to explain to you why they're wrong. I'm really right. I'm wrong, but I'm really right. And let me tell you about it. I did it, but let me tell you why I did it. I'm really right, because I tell you why I did it. In other words, you'll understand, but the means justify the end, and because I was in the shape, I stole it, but let me tell you why I stole it. You see, it happened that I was hungry, so I stole it instead of going to work. So Laban says, it's not right we give the youngest before the oldest. So Jacob, being faithful, Jacob said, well, what do I have to do? Laban said, work another 7 years, and I'll give you your bride. Work another 7 years, I'll give you Rachel. Jacob, faithful. See, this is the thing you have to understand. You can't claim you have faith unless you're faithful. It's not enough to say you have faith. There ought to be some evidence of your faith. The way it is determined you have faith is by what you do. Because whatever we do is based on what we have faith in. Because faith always works ahead of us. And we're always walking towards whatever we have faith in. So you're walking towards, when you go to college and you go to school and you stand in here, you have faith that at the end of this, I'm going to get my degree or my diploma. So therefore, I'm going to go to school all these days. You understand something? Whatever I have faith in, I work towards. In other words, if you don't believe you're going to get it, guess what? You will not do it. But because I have faith that it's going to be there, so if that's the case, it means that if God has told you something, and I have faith that God, you're going to do what you do, that means, guess what? I'm going to walk and do and show that, guess what? I'm walking towards what God said, no matter what it takes, even when it looks like, guess what God said is not coming to pass. Because if God said it, it has to come to pass. So here it is. So he turns around. He says, well, I'll work another 7 years. He agrees to it. He works another 7 years. While there, Leah has children. And there, while he's working the 7 years, guess what? Finally, he gets his bride. Man, could you imagine how ecstatic he was? Man, I've been working for 14 years for this woman. He finally gets his woman. This woman, those cannot have any children. But meanwhile, later, the bride, the women who were given to our children, here, you have to find Jacob is growing and prospering. Not only does he grow and prosper, I can deal with the Leah and the children, that'd be a whole other sermon. But here it is, he's growing and prospering. So after a while, he goes to Laban. He says, hey man, look here, let's do something here. Tell you what, give me the bad ones, the spotted ones, the striped ones. You take all the good ones. He separates them. He puts a tree down in front of the water trough. And after a while, the striped cows would come and they would turn around and mate, and they would become, after a while, they began to grow. His flock grew, Laban's flock diminished, and his flock grew. Now he is wealthy. He is more wealthy than Laban. He has grown, Laban has decreased. And as he has grown, Laban has decreased. The problem is now, after a while, Laban's sons began to turn on him. They began to say, hey, hold on. Man, you done gave away all our stuff. Brother Julius, look at it. They weren't concerned about their father's loss. They were concerned about their inheritance. People will be around you as long as they know they're going to get something out of it. Everybody in your circle is not worried about you, but they're worried about what's in it for me. And when the circle, you turn around, you ever notice when your pocket's fat, all of a sudden your friends are fat, everybody in your chat room. But when all of a sudden you don't have it, all of a sudden they get mad and it's your fault. You ever notice that somebody would come to you and ask you for something and you say you don't have it and they're mad at you because you didn't give it to them? The sons are upset because, man, you're losing our inheritance. And look what they say. You've given Jacob all our glory. In other words, what they're saying is, our glory is based on what we have. And what we have is diminishing. Okay, in other words, you understand that my glory and my faith is in my monetary and what I have. So without the monetary, I'm really nothing. Okay, you don't believe it. Why do you think people jump out of windows every time the stock market drops? Why do you think people commit suicide every time they lose a job? Why do you think that divorces happen just because all of a sudden the wages go down? All of a sudden the income is not there, marriage is split, children are put into adoption because I don't see the finances. In other words, they're saying that if I don't have the finances, I can't make it. I don't see the money, but somebody simply knows that God shall supply all of my needs. That when the bank account is empty, I'm still rich because my Father is rich in houses and land. You have to understand, I've got money you can't even see. Somebody can testify that they got evidence that God will bring you through. So here they are, and then in this chapter, there are four parts to the chapter. Four parts. The first thing you see in the chapter here in Laban's departure. There are four things in Laban's departure. First thing is said, you see Laban's possessions. Laban has gotten, I'm sorry, not Laban, Jacob's possessions, in that Jacob has gotten rich. Jacob was failing, but now Jacob is full. They thought Jacob was working for them. They didn't know that Jacob was working for God. All right, y'all missed this, so let me take it to the first slow train. Here we go. The person who pays you is the one you're working for. The problem is, Laban thought he was the employer and Jacob was the employee. He didn't realize, though Jacob was the employee, he wasn't the employer. In that Jacob was really working for God and he was just the middleman. So he didn't understand that when he wasn't looking, there were some checks coming down that didn't go through him. So he was trying to figure out how you keep getting these bonuses, not knowing he's saying, you don't understand, my employer keeps paying me. In other words, when you know you're working for God, you don't have to worry about man, you don't have to worry about what's in the bank, because what God is still sending my check. When you thought about, guess what, you holding back and what you're not going to do. God said, don't worry, I got you. You got to realize that, guess what, who do I work for? The man I work for never goes broke. Let me tell you something. I've never had a check late because he's an on-time God. I'm not worried about it because guess what, I realize who I work for. You can give me a pink slip and tell me to go home. But baby, when I go home, you think I'm crying. I'm just going up in my closet. Lord, let me tell you what they did to me. You got to be careful because you don't understand. The same God that blesses me is the same God that will punish you. You got to be careful how you treat me. I need some real people who can realize, baby, I'm a blessing. You better be careful when I leave because when I walk out, baby, guess what? Your blessings walk out because I am a blessing. He looked at him. We saw Jacob's possessions. We saw Jacob's possessions. We looked And we saw Laban's pursuit. We saw Laban's pursuit, and that Laban turns around and Jacob leaves. We saw Jacob's possession. We saw Jacob's departure. We saw Laban's pursuit. But Jacob's departure, that in the middle of the night, look at Jacob's departure. In the middle of the night, God comes to Jacob and tells Jacob, leave and go back to the land of your kindred. In other words, go back to the place where I was. Go back to the place I told you I will bring you back to. God tells him, see, this is the part you gotta catch. He's been working, but he does not leave till God says so. Too many times we want to get out just because it's hard. You gotta learn to stand till God says so. If he had left after 7 years, he would have missed his wife and his blessing. But because he was faithful, God said, guess what? I'm a faithful God. I'm going to do what I said. I just want to know, are you faithful enough to stay in place to receive what I said? Because he stays, God blesses. He can't move till God says so. Then he calls his wives, Rachel and Leah, out to the field. He tells them what God says. Look at this. He doesn't have to tell them, but he tells them. Because can I give you a bonus point? If you want a good marriage, you better have good communication. Because now he calls them to the field. He says, I want to talk to y'all. I want to tell you what's going on and I have to leave. And as he tells them that he's leaving, they began to tell them and tell Jacob, say, hold on. We have no ties to Laban. Our father treated us like nothing. Our father kicked us out because his goal was to take everything from you. But he gave us to you. So really his goal was to take everything from us. So if he's cheating us, we really have nothing to him. So whatever your God tells you to do, do. See, can I go bonus here? If you want a good relationship, there has to be good communication. But ladies, you never want your man to be the king you want him to be. You have to learn to push him up when he's down. When he's unsure, he's really not looking for your opinion. He's looking for your assurance. There are times in his life when he is not sure. But he doesn't need you to direct him. He needs you to assure him, to build up his confidence, to let him know, baby, you still the king. Baby, you know you got this. And guess what? When he does that, can I help a bonus point to you ladies? When you do that, guess what? When he rises up, because you are attached to him, that means when he rises up, you can't help but go up. But if you turn it the other way, guess what? He'll still be stuck. And you're trying to figure out why he's stuck. And later on, because he told you, guess what? This is where we need to go, but let me give my opinion. No, not your opinion. Baby, let me let you know you got this. And wherever you go, guess what? I'll go. I'm just going to push you up. You follow God, I'll follow you. And guess what? We both going to walk into the blessings of God, because God said, as long as you follow God, I follow you. That guess what? The children are going to follow me. And guess what? Blessings will follow us wherever we go. You in the middle of the night, he begins to escape. He goes, and then after 3 days, he departs secretly, but there's Laban's pursuit. After 3 days, Laban realizes Jacob is gone. They tell him Jacob left in the night, and he took all his stuff. He took all his stuff and he left. Laban turns around. He gathers all his men. He is so mad. And my wife was here, she said he's 38 hot. He is so mad because Jacob has left in the night. You ever come to the realization of your situation? You know, as long as it looked good, but it really not good, you can hide it. Could you imagine Jacob got all his flock out there? Laban has nothing, but it looked like he got something. But now Jacob's gone, now you got to look at nothing. You ever been in a situation where you had to look at it and it looked like you knew it was going bad? But now all of a sudden everybody else knows it's bad? Because now it's been shown. Come on, y'all get okay. The lady with the issue of blood. Excuse me one second. You guys excuse me, but they have me on some medication, and unfortunately it dries out my mouth, so I have to constantly drink water. But have you ever been in a situation where you look around, it looks, and then everybody knows it's bad? You know, like the lady with the issue of blood. She hid it for so long, but then the reason she had to hide it is because you turn around after a while. If anybody knows about it, all of a sudden they don't want to deal with you. When people know you're hurt, they treat you differently. When people know you're going through something, they treat you a little differently. You know, when you got something, they're your best friend. But now they find out you don't have nothing, they don't call you anymore. You know, when they thought you was somebody, you know, when y'all were together and in that marriage, boy, they called you for every party. But now that you're divorced, all of a sudden they act like they don't know you anymore. You know, they were there as long as you had the job, you were making all the money, they were right there. Now you looking and saying, I'm not the one, can't make the loans. Now all of a sudden they act like, well, you can't come to the family functions. You're like, hold on. I was, but now everybody knows your situation. You know, when you're sick, they come when you first get sick, but you stay sick long enough. They'll take your name off the roll and forget who you are. Because now everybody knows what's going on. You know, it was one thing when they knew your child had a little trouble. But now that your child got some years, now all of a sudden they want to talk about it. And they want to talk about it because everybody knows what's going on. See, but so now they treat you differently. And Laban is looking because now the servants realize that we all out here with nothing. And you let him leave. And he took all the stuff. What are you going to do about it now? Laban grabs all his stuff. He begins to chase. And Laban is mad. Laban is hot. We see the direction of God, that God has led led Jacob out. We saw the direction, but now Laban is coming. But guess what? God comes to Laban in a dream and tells Laban, don't talk to him good or bad. Basically what he's telling Laban, you better not touch him. I don't care how mad you get, you better not touch it. Y'all missed it. See, that's on church folk. They never know when to shout. In other words, let you know that guess what? People can hate you, but they can't stop you. There's some people who are mad at you right now, can't even sleep at night, but you sit here and you keep prospering. There's some people who have saw you. They remember when you had nothing. They liked you back then, but now all of a sudden that you got something, you don't act the same way. Now they're mad at you, because you ever want to see your haters? Let God bless you. Haters will come out of nowhere, but you got to understand something, that guess what? Baby, you can hate me, but you can't stop me. Let me break it down to you in church folk form. In other words, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. You don't understand. Baby, make all the weapons you want, but I just want to let you know, guess what? It ain't going to prosper. You can go ahead and do what you want to do. You can do voodoo, you do. I don't care what you do. Guess what? It ain't going to work. I tell you what, go and get your rabbit's foot. Let me let you know, it didn't do the rabbit no good. It ain't going to do you no good. Because I got a God, and God has protection over you, has put a hedge over you. Baby, you got to walk and let them know, I don't walk by myself, baby. I've always got somebody by my side. Be careful and don't let me tell my dad. Sitting up here bothering me. You think you're going to keep me up at night? God comes. The protection of God, he comes. He says, don't touch it. He says, don't be careful. Don't touch it. So, after a while, after a week, Laban runs up on Jacob. He catches Jacob. He says, man, why you left? And you left in the night. I didn't get a chance to kiss my grandchildren. I didn't get a chance to hug my children. I didn't get a chance to be the loving father and grandfather. Jacob's like, hold on. You didn't do it then. Why do you want to do it now? See, you got to be careful. People don't want to do it then, but they want to do it now. Hold on, baby. You didn't want to be my friend when I was on the street. Why do you want to be my friend now that I'm in the house? I don't get it. You talked about me when I was hurting. But now all of a sudden you want to talk to me now that I'm standing on my feet. I don't get it. If you didn't do it then, why are you here trying to do it now? But when I was in need, you didn't want to deal with me. But now that I got something, you want to say, now I can hang with you. Baby, I can hang with you, but you can't hang with me. Let me explain something. If you couldn't be with me in my bad times, don't come running up on me on my good times. Every now and then, I got to let them know, baby, this is an exclusive circle. Everybody ain't allowed in this circle. Understand something. God said I have to love you. He didn't say I have to like you, and I can love you from afar. Every now and then, I just have to let you know. He began to say, you robbed me of loving my children and grandchildren. That didn't work. He says, well, you stole my gods. You stole my idols. Now this is the thing. Jacob does not know that Rachel has stolen idols. Jacob says, man, I didn't take anything from you. Nobody in my camp has stolen anything from you. If anybody stole your idols, let them die. He is so sure that no one has stolen. Now you have to understand something. Here Laban is talking about a God that can be stolen. Could you imagine you're serving a God that can be stolen? Aren't you glad your God can't be stolen? I agree. He has a God who can't even protect himself. So how are you going to protect me? You're worried about a God that can be hidden when you need him. And Rachel has stolen this God. Does say why? Maybe because she's mad at her father. And she wants to show him that your God really isn't a God. She takes him and hides him under her dressing in the saddlebag. Here Laban gets upset. He searches the carts. He searches the carts, but he comes to Rachel, and Rachel says, Father, excuse me, I can't get up, but it's that time of the month. So therefore Laban walks away. Looking at Jacob, he now says, let there be peace between us. Hold on. You mean you were ready to kill me? Your eyes and your look had changed on me. But now you want to make peace with me. You saw Jacob's possessions. You saw Jacob's departure. You saw Laban's pursuit. But this is where I got excited. When I looked and saw the providential move of God, in that what God said, God did. It was providential in that it made no sense of how he did it. God told Isaac, and Isaac blessed Jacob, and told Jacob, you're going to be fruitful and increase. Jacob left home with nothing. Spent the night in the desert not knowing what he was going to eat. Had no place to sleep. Ends up at his uncle. There at his uncle begins to take advantage of him. He works for his uncle 20 years. His uncle believing that he's taking advantage of Jacob. He has to leave in the middle of the night. In the middle of the night leaves, but he is run down by the same uncle who now intends to kill him. But now the same uncle now looks at him, and the same uncle comes to now get peace. You have to understand now, Jacob, who is this quiet, mild-mannered man, Jacob now gets hot. Jacob begins to tell him, man, I worked for you for 20 years. I've been fair to you, and every time I look up, you've changed it 10 times. Now you accuse me of stealing. He said, no, this is not right. But here, let's make a covenant one to each other. You have to understand something. Here the man that he thought was diminished. Here the man he thought he was the boss over. Here the man he thought, guess what? I'm the one over you. Now he that was last shall be first. You understand? He that was least is now the top. Because now he is not the one. He is not the beggar. You understand something? He is the lender. You understand that now he stands understand everything you're going through, if you are faithful, because God said, don't say it, just do it. If you're faithful, God said, I got a blessing with your name on it. It may not look like it, but guess what? It's on its way. If you're faithful, someone right now, you may be at your 7 years. You know your 7 years. You thought by now it would have been over. You thought by now you would have received it. You thought by now God would have put it there. And God says, oh, there's 7 more. You have to understand that guess what? God, it does not matter how long it takes. But Lord, I am faithful because you said it. That's all there is to it. Whatever you said, that's what I believe. Because God, every now and then, when I don't see it, I just gotta keep saying it. Because God, you said it. And because you said it, that's all there is to it. Somebody right now, you don't understand. God is saying you better get your speckled calf because God's about to increase. When God increases, don't worry. Baby, every now and then, you just have to say, God, increase. Every now and then, you got to pray a Jabez prayer. Lord, enlarge my territory. Lord, every now and then, you are at a point of departure. Right now, baby, there's some people I got to let go. I'm sorry, but you were here for a season, and I hate to break the news to you, but your season is over. It doesn't mean I don't love you. It just means that your season is over, and God has a blessing for me, and I gotta move on because God has more work for me to do. But there's somebody right now, you at your point of covenant, you've been arguing with somebody that you should have let it go. You still showing up, still talking about how he hurt me, still talking about what he did and what she did. Every now and then, baby, you better let that thing go. You can't walk forward carrying all that anger. Can I tell somebody, you just carrying too many bags. You gotta let some bags go. You walk around with worry and stress. You walk around with frustration and hatred. Baby, you gotta drop them bags. Excuse me, but I need to lighten my load because God is a load bearer. So, baby, I need to take this and give it to God. Baby, I've been carrying it long enough. They began to make a mountain. He told everybody, get some rocks. Put the rocks here. We're going to call this place Gilead. When he says, you don't understand. And then he says, may God watch between you and me until we meet again. Every now and then you got to tell somebody, baby, may God watch between you and me. Oh, I hope you get blessed. But guess what? There's got to be a distance between us. God don't hate you. I'm not mad at you. But guess what? Baby, I hope God blesses you. But I know he's going to bless me. So until we meet again, you got to excuse me. Excuse me if I begin to shout. But I realize I've been blessed. And God's been good to me. You see, I've had to lose some people along the way. But guess what? I know a friend that a friend to the friendless. I know I had to cry when my mother passed on. But can I tell somebody today, he'll be a mother to the motherless and a father to the fatherless. Every now and then, you gotta just look up and realize, God, guess what? If God is on my side, then guess what? It doesn't matter who's against me. I just realized, God, guess what? If I've got you, I've got more. Just gotta realize. Jacob looked up. Jacob said, Laban, you don't understand. But I gotta let you go. I know when I came, I was the Lord. But you understand, God has blessed me. And now I'm above. He said, it's not by what I did. It's not by what you did. But don't get mad at me about what God did. Every now and then. That's y'all ain't gonna make me go all day. God is here. But know that you have a God that's able. What God said, He's gonna do. Man, you better talk about me now. Because boy, when you see me again, you may look and say, I stole your glory. So you just don't know. The Bible says, the wealth of the rich is laid up for the Lord. You have to understand something. Baby, you understand? There's somebody talking about you right now living in your house. Baby, you don't understand. Because when God blesses me, baby, I'm coming to claim it all. I'm coming to claim it all. You don't understand. I'm not. See, Jacob didn't steal the goats. God reproduced the goats. Let me talk to side over here. They gonna get excited. See, it doesn't matter. You don't have to take anything from anybody. That means you don't have to get mad about what somebody else got. You don't have to get mad because they don't want to share. All right, go ahead. Because God is not going to give you what is meant for somebody else. What God is going to do, God said, but I'll reproduce. In other words, where there is nothing, I'm going to produce something. So don't worry about what they have. Because what they have has nothing to do with what I'm going to give you. Because what I give you, guess what? No man can stop it. They can't explain it. They don't know when, and that means they can't take it away because they didn't give it to you. You have to understand, whoever promotes you can demote you. So if I understand you had nothing to do with my promotion, baby, you got nothing to do with my demotion. So understand something now, that the same God that can reproduce now will reproduce again. Because I understand, baby, I don't like that song that says give it all back. Because baby, if you could take it, that means it wasn't for me. But I understand something. Baby, if you take it, go ahead and have it. Because I got a God of reproduces. That every time you look around, you Timothy said, hold on, I because God's going to keep on blessing. Excuse me if I got to give a shout, but every now and then God just grabs me. Every now and then God lets me know that guess what, baby, I'm working this thing out. I dare you to give God some praise in His house. I know God is able to do what He said. God's been blessing. And then maybe somebody won't leave you. Jesus says, if He will lift it up, He'll draw all men unto Him. There may be somebody today, you felt the draw. Say, Lord, I need to be on God's side. I need to be with that God He's talking about. Maybe somebody on social media. I want to offer Jesus Christ to you today. Bible says, if you believe in your heart, confess your sins, and accept Jesus Christ as your Savior, in faith believing, today you are saved. I think you do that in your homes, or on your social media, and then get into a church that's teaching Jesus Christ. There may be somebody today. There may be somebody today who has said, Lord, I just need you today. I want to pray with you wherever